All right, my name is Eugene Anangwe, and you are listening to One on One. And this is a show that aims at getting candid and up close on some of the issues, with, of course, some of the personalities that shape the news agenda in Rwanda and across the globe. Of course, today we are talking matters the Africa US Leadership Summit that kicked off today. And of course, as President Barack Obama immerses himself in the talks on Africa's regional security, democracy, plus, of course, many other issues. We have questions here concerning whose interest is this summit going to be on, and of course, what are the issues or what is at stake in this summit as far as African leaders or Africa as a continent is concerned. And with me in the studio is none other than Teddy Kaberuka. He's a consultant and economic analyst with KPMG. Teddy, welcome to One on One.
Thank you, Eugene.
Yes, very quickly, Teddy. We're looking at a summit that has never been seen before, ever since, we had the presidency in the US, where he's meeting over 40 African heads of state or heads of government. What do you think is the relevance of this summit?
I think the relevance of the summit is very critical for both sides, being a US or Africa. We've seen the recent development of the economy of Africa. We know how the economy of Africa is growing compared to the average economy. So much as it's interested for America, but also Africa has also interest to do business with America.
Let's talk of the issues of interest. Let's concentrate on the interest part for now. When we say the interest for Africa and the interest for the US, what are the interests for US in this?
The interest of US is clear. First of all, being a growing economy, so US can rely on getting raw material in Africa, but also Africa can be a market for the US. Because we saw in the recent financial crisis, the world economy were shaken. But Africa, because we are not much involved in the global economy, so Africa didn't shake a lot like the rest of the world.
Yes.
So if today Africa is put on the forefront of the global economy, it's because Africa, the way the economy are, Africa is still virgin.
But when we talk about, still remaining on the virginity part, but when we talk about Africa benefiting, and of course the US also having benefits here, when we weight on a weighing scale in terms of percentages, who stands to benefit more in this kind of summit?
I think if the deal is well negotiated, we can have a win-win situation. We can both sides win 50%, 50%. But the problem is, do we negotiate or do we discuss the deal on equal basis? Do we have the right tools? Do we know how we can market our potential so that the US can see the potentiality of Africa and take the deal as we want them to take it?
So as you say that, do you think that African leaders are doing this? Do you think they have this capacity? And what do you think is going to be a selling point for them?
You see, if you see how the summit is organized with 50 head of states, so I don't think they will have chance to have a one-to-one discussion.
No.
That is, it's out of the deal. And the truth is, you can imagine a gathering of like 400 people for a conference. So those who are smart enough to bargain can mingle, can connect with the right company. So I think that's where the cleverness or smartness of African leaders.
So it will be up to individual levels. How smart is your leader?
Yeah, the truth is, African leader, we present the potential for their countries. I remember Africa is not one country.
Yes.
It's like 50 nations or 50 countries.
Yes. So, but we have some common problems and common opportunities.
Yeah, but still, when it becomes to the economy, you need to sell your own products. So each country needs to put on the table and show
this is what we have
potentiality, because we don't have the same challenge, we don't have the same opportunity as well, because some countries say we have oil, but on the other hand you have rebels, you have all the challenges, so it's not easy for someone to come and start business in your area, while other countries have the economy settled, where the security settled, but they have some areas where they need to sell much. So Really, we need that
talking of the issue of common problems and common opportunities, you say we don't have that. But look, we have oil now in Uganda. We have oil in Nigeria. We have the question of insecurity, which is hitting parts of the East African nations. We still have the same in Nigeria. We have Boko Haram and all that. So these are some of the common challenges and common opportunities I'm talking about.
When you see from the outside context, we have a lot in common.
Yes.
But if you go to the details, the nitty-gritty of the conflict,
yes,
each country has its own problem. So if we have to solve them, I don't think we can have a common formula to solve them. That's what I'm saying. There is a lot in common, but when it comes to the solution, each country needs a local context.
But when you look at the issue of not being able to meet President Obama one-on-one, this is one of the things that is coming out clearly, that all these leaders invited to the United States will not or may not have an opportunity to meet President Obama one-on-one. What do you read from that? You have guests coming to your place, and then they have come to discuss their issues or talk about their issues and look for opportunities from your own backyard, and you're not going to see them one-on-one. How do you read that?
I think, you see, we need to understand the context that this summit is held. It's more political than a business conference.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm bringing my product to sell to you or to negotiate. The different leaders, or with the US and Africa,
yes,
will have a consensus and have like a declaration. We will work together
on these issues
generally. But for Africa to be the summit to be profitable, we need to go beyond the commitment, the political commitment. We have had these stories of agreement with Africa and America.
Yes.
You know the story of AGOA.
Yes.
But it has been there for like the last 5 years.
Implementation is a problem.
Why? You can ask yourself why. It has been a problem because each country has its own reality. When you export product to the US, when you negotiated the agreement, the local context was not considered. So that's why when you start implementing the political will, the real challenge emerges.
This brings us back to the point that you mentioned, that it will depend on the negotiating power and capacity of those who are going to negotiate on behalf of our countries in terms of Africa in this particular summit. So do you feel that those who go there are misinformed or probably have their own agendas? For them to come up with some of these agreements that are hard to implement?
I think the gathering is huge. There's a lot of people to connect with. Unless there was some preliminary discussion held, some countries can take advantage, or countries who have a good team of like the embassies in the US who have made the good contact with the people they can contact. But also some countries already have defined their priority area or potentialities. So if they connect with any company, for instance, if you are a country like Uganda with the oil and all the resources,
yes,
if they already have the agenda and everything detailed, then they can connect to the right people on the right time, because the summit is about to connect people, those who have and those who need. So you need to be smart enough to get that opportunity. But the problem is, because there is so many breakout sessions.
Yes.
I've been reading since this morning.
Yes.
Different groups have been meeting, and so some people just follow the move of the summit. They don't know
where they really need to be in.
Yes, yes. So I won't be surprised if some countries end up going back without anything signed. The other thing is there are some common opportunities for Africa. When you say things like infrastructure,
yes,
Africa have been a continent without proper infrastructure.
Yes.
For instance, the area of a railway, you can connect Africa from Cape to Cairo, but who will negotiate that? Is it the South Africa? Is it the Eastern
Africa?
Is it the Northern? You see, some of these things need to be properly discussed before
they go there.
Yes.
So that they go with one voice.
One voice.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk about the issue of Africa and her partners. I'm going to use a rhetoric here, because we saw recently Africa warming up to China. And looking at the goodies that the Chinese brought recently in Kenya through the Chinese Prime Minister, most analysts were like, you see, now Africa is actually warming up to China. Now, we're seeing again almost the same happening now with this US Africa Leadership Summit. We expect deals to be signed. We expect some promises to be made out of this. As an analyst standing from your perspective, what do you tell of Africa or Africans based on their behavior in this particular way of today we are with China, tomorrow we are ready to receive USA?
I think it's about opportunities and what is possible, by the way. Because if you see well how the relation with China is, it's less demanding in terms of procedure, in terms of requirement, in terms of even condition for the China.
And this is what African leaders want.
Yes.
And do you think this is safe for the population?
I don't think it's something we can take for granted. They also have their interest in, because they are coming in to compete with the existing relationship. You know,
yes.
Africa have been in relationship with the old colonial countries. So China was not in the good position to come and impose their condition, but they had to come with a soft discussion. Let's say, okay, we can sign this, and then you get this. On the other hand, US have been threatened, because if China was entering to Africa, then someone else would be losing Africa, and that would be US or European Union. And then I don't think US can afford to lose Africa, because with all the potential we've said for Africa. But again, if US is clever enough, they can, because they have been in relation with Africa
for some time,
and in some sectors.
Yes.
We know how much US have invested in health sector in Africa.
Yes.
That is already a relationship. It's not like China.
Yes.
We know how much America is very keen in human rights issue in Africa, and meaning theoretically they're already in Africa, so they need to come then with the business sides.
Yes, and if China was human, was a human being, and Africa being a lady, and China is a man, and the US is also another man, courting this beautiful lady called Africa, what do you think China would be saying right now?
China will be competing with another man. In fact, that reality, they are competing, and I'm sure Africa will benefit from the competition. We've had those competition in the 80s with Russia. Unfortunately, Russia didn't stand for long, and Africa lost
Couldn't make it. Yes.
Africa lost opportunities of competition. And I think if US is coming back again to compete with China, they will also change their strategy, and it will be on the benefits of Africa. The problem is, how do we take that opportunity as African? That's where the problem is.
And if we even take any advantage of that opportunity. These are some of the issues that you mentioned here. But let's look at what is already coming out of what is being said on the backdrops of this summit. We've had some information that Tanzania's president is actually lobbying or calling for a similar summit in Tanzania, so that probably Africa can come and meet and talk about their real issues in his own backyard. But there are those who are criticizing and saying, look, you're calling for the world to meet at your backyard, but you are not able to even call your neighbors to come and meet and talk with you, or you can't even sit with them. What do you read from this? Do you think this is a platform where some African leaders are going to use to just chest thumb and make statements just to be able to become popular?
In fact, that's what I said. The problem we are having today is we are taking Africa as one country. Africa is made by 50 countries. So meaning, in fact, before even meeting the US government, African countries would have met in African Union. There is this regional platform.
Yes.
Discuss their issues. Say, we are meeting the US. We can bring common voice to the US and advocate for big things. So if we don't have the same voice, the US will take advantage on that confusion of Africa, and then some will pretend to be good friend to US, and yet it's business. There's no friend, there's no enemy. It's business. And if the Africa doesn't go together, united and connected, then they won't, even those who can grab the deal, they won't maximize it, because Africa will be like small traders. They are not in union to have a bargaining power.
A bigger bargaining power.
Yeah.
Now, still talking of unity and one united Africa, we have people or African countries or leaders who have missed out on President Obama's guest list in this summit. Some of them include Uncle Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe. We also have al-Bashir of Sudan and the president of Central African Republic. What do you read from this? Having some of these African nations being sidelined or left out based on some of the sanctions or some of the information that the U.S. or perceptions that the U.S. has on some of these leaders. What do you read from that?
It's unfortunate that that's the situation, but I feel if we can proudly say we are representing Africa, we will be all there, because otherwise I don't see Africa minus Zimbabwe. I don't see Africa without the Republic, South Africa. You see, those are big issues we are having in Africa. We are in Africa, but some countries are like
feel less African,
and
or
others
treated
feel
less
more African than the others. And I don't think it gives any advantage to anyone. Even if those who were called today, tomorrow maybe it will be their turn not to be called.
Yes.
Since we are talking Africa and US, it should be all the African countries. Yes. Otherwise, it's African minus some countries.
Yes. And the fact that no African leader said, I'm not going because Uncle Bob is not in the list.
In fact, that would have happened if all the African countries would have get in time to discuss and see what are they presenting, or to the US. But it seems that everyone was called individually.
Okay.
I have no proof, but that's what I can read from the news. And then everyone was like individual deal. Is this sustainable? I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if you were in the delegation of Rwanda's team that has gone there, what are some of the key things that you would have gone with in your list of either demands or either opportunities that you would want when you come back, you have goodies for Rwandans to show them?
We have so many opportunities, especially with the East African community. There, we are no longer the small country Rwanda of 7 million.
Yes.
We have these, 5 countries together.
Yes.
So we can anything we can present will be seen as the bloc of East Africa, both being on the demand side, but also be a supply. Let me give you an example. We have the sector of agribusiness. We can import, we can export to US. But if a small country is seen, the US being a huge market,
yes,
they can say, whatever you are producing, it can be even bananas. I don't think if you're exporting banana to US, it can be enough to saturate their market. But if we see ourselves as the East African, the bloc, then we can satisfy the demand from that perspective. And I think that is a selling point for Rwanda being in East Africa. Even on the side of supply, if today we are talking about the tourism industry growing,
yes,
from Mombasa to Kigali or from Kigali to I don't know, whoever is coming in the region can get chance and opportunity to visit different touristic sites, and there will be selling a huge product than being one country.
So we sell our tourism, and of course we also sell ourselves as a bloc.
Yes.
These are the key pointers.
Yes.
Teddy, what should we expect in closing right now? What should we expect as some of the key announcements that are going to be coming out of this event?
Since this morning, we've seen, the U.S. government saying they are ready to sign this amount for investment in Africa.
Yes.
It's already out in the news.
Yes.
That is good thing.
Yes.
If the Africa will, the African countries, each country will position itself. The problem is, this good talk can be said.
Yes.
The declaration and everyone sign and we get the best picture.
Yes.
But when it comes to reality, it doesn't benefit to someone.
Okay.
Yeah. But the truth is, the political commitment will be there, and some key sector will be identified, and the investment can be done.
And then what will remain will be a push to implement whatever will be announced here.
And each country should get its share, because it wouldn't make sense all the head of state being there, and one country, when it arrived to the implementation, the country doesn't have any portion.
It's so unfortunate that some of those African countries will not be represented, and they will not even have any portion.
We never know. Maybe they'll have theirs indirectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Teddy Kaberuka.
You're welcome.
For your time. Of course, Contact FM is closely monitoring the events at the Africa-US Summit. We have a hashtag going on there that we've seen was created, USA Africa Summit, and some people are already giving their comments over there. We have Rwanda Embassy, which has been highlighting the meeting by Minister Agnes Binagwaho over there. We have Francois Gatete, who has said, fingers crossed on the sidelines of USA Africa Summit. Our fearful presidents don't beg for more help. These are some of the statements that are coming out there. Someone else called Valerie has said, please don't forget the 220 Nigerian girls kidnapped by Boko Haram. Bring back our girls. US Africa Summit. These are some of the things that are going on right there. The conversations are going on. Our hashtag is 101RW. We will be here once again here at the same time, same place on 89.7 Contact FM. I'm Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.